Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope everyone's having a great week so far. My name is Trisha Thomas. I'm a partner here at Fourlane. And this week, I'm going to talk about the new features that have been rolled out in Enterprise 24. So I'm super excited to share with you guys. They've done a lot of updates and releases, and I can't wait to show those to you. We're going to focus on the feature for customer deposits and prepayments. I'm so excited. They now have this process in product. The first release was just at sales order, and now they've introduced it at estimates also. So super exciting to show you guys this feature. Next, really exciting is being able to link your purchase order to your sales order. So in the past, you've always been able to create a purchase order from a sales order, but what you didn't have is anything to show them linked together. So now we've introduced in product how we can show them linked. We've got not only at the sales order, but also reporting. So we'll look at that today. And then we're going to talk about some inventory features, more around the reporting and just how they've enhanced and they've introduced a really exciting new inventory report. Okay, so let's start with my first question I always ask is, what is a customer deposit? What does that mean? So what a customer deposit is a payment made by a customer to a company, and this is the very important piece, before the company has provided goods or services. That's the kind of, you've got where you're receiving money as you're performing, or in this case, we're taking money up front before we've provided any goods or services. So in the accounting world, a customer deposit is recorded as a liability in the general ledger, and it stays as a liability until the order is fulfilled. So until we've provided the goods or services. Once that order is fulfilled, the deposit is then applied to the invoice and the liability is canceled. So we're going to look at that today at the balance sheet, how we structure for managing our customer deposits. So let's go ahead and hop inside of our sample file and let's take a look. Okay, so let's talk about just the structure itself, about customer deposits, and then some things that you have to activate to be able to use this feature. So first, let's talk about the chart of accounts. So let's look at the chart of accounts. Now remember that I said a customer deposit is a liability to a company, meaning that they've taken money and at a future date, they're going to provide a good or service. So you can see on my chart of accounts, I have customer deposits as a other current liability. Now we know when we're creating any GL account inside of QuickBooks, the first thing you have to pick is the type. So when we come down here and we talk about liabilities, we have two types. So other current liability means that we're going to fulfill that agreement. It's going to be paid back within a year. Or a long-term liability is more like your notes, your car notes, a line of credit. So something that's going to be longer than a year before it's paid back or fulfilled. That kind of tells you which one to choose. Customer deposits, I always choose other current liabilities because for the most part, it's probably a short-term liability. We're going to fulfill or provide the goods and services within, 6, 8 weeks, but not longer than a year. Okay, so that's our first thing, is we want to make sure that we have a GL account set up on our chart of accounts so that we can track our customer deposits. If we look at our balance sheet, we can see that we have down here in our liability section, we have our customer deposits here. So again, looking at this balance sheet, this is saying we have a little over $10,000 in customer liabilities that we need to provide goods or services for. Okay, So let's go through the process of actually activating this feature inside of QuickBooks. So first we have to go to our preferences and we have to turn it on. So we're going to go to Edit. We're going to go to Preferences. We're going to choose Payments. And then you've got two tabs. My Preferences is these are the things that when you log in as a user in QuickBooks, these are the changes that you want. So for example, the beep noise, some people don't like that. They don't want to hear when they save a transaction a beep. You can turn that on and off under your preferences, the My Preferences. Company Preferences is global company changes. So anything I change on any of these, on the company preferences, it's the full company file that will be changed. Some of these, it will tell you need to be in single user mode. You'll see it pop up if you're in multiple user mode. When you try to select it, it'll say you need to be in single user mode. Okay, so let's come over here and let's look at payments. And now you see that you have this new section called prepayments. So if we check the box, prepayment settings, the first thing you do, of course, you want to turn it on. So check the little box that says turn it on. And the next is you have to tell the database what GL account, when you post a customer prepayment, do you want the dollars to go to? So you can see that it's telling you it has to be a liability account. When you choose your drop down, it's only going to show you liability accounts. You cannot choose any other type, only a liability. So again, that's why I said make sure when we create that GL, we choose that liability. Okay, so now once we hit OK, this now activates that feature. Okay, so now we're ready, and I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to use a sales order for our example, but I'm going to show you have the same thing at estimates. And the only reason why I'm using sales orders is what I tell clients is think of estimates as a quote. A lot of construction companies are going to function in the estimate feature because they have other job costing reports for budgets versus actuals, where an inventory client, meaning a company that tracks and sells inventory, they want to do it at sales order because the sales order is what drives our report for availability on inventory. So keep that in mind when you're trying to decide at what transaction type do I want to post my customer deposit. So I'll just show you guys at your estimate. You see now you have a receive payments. This was never a feature before because we could not receive a payment on a non-posting transaction, which is of course our estimates and sales orders. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to show you. Here's our receive payment. So let's walk through the process. Let's go ahead and create a sales order, and we'll go ahead and post a prepayment so you guys can see it. So I'm going to choose my customer, Trisha Thomas. I'm going to choose a couple of items, and we'll choose labor, and we'll choose a couple of items here. Okay, and then I'm just going to put this to 10. I'm going to put this to 20, and I'm going to put this to 20. I'm going to do this, and then I want to charge $150 an hour. And just making this because I want it a higher so that we can see. Oh, but maybe it was a little too high. Okay. So we have our sales order. It is $5,500. And again, when you're creating these sales orders, you have these boxes where you can put information in here. So if you want to put details about what your requirements are for customer deposit, maybe it's 50% up front. Whatever it is your terms are, if you want to put around your customer deposit, you can type in here inside of the description area. Do up front so that when you send this to your customer, this will be saved and printed on the PDF copy or the email when you send it to them. Okay, so I've saved my sales order. Again, this is non-posting. It means there's no financial impact at this time. So now I want to say that I'm requiring my customer to pay $2,500 down. Okay, so the customer has received the sales order. They know they owe $2,500 down. They've made a payment to us. So now what I want to do is I want to receive the payment. So I'm going to select here, receive payment. Okay. Now what you're going to see is something totally new. So you've got this prepayment beside the customer payment. And you can see that now you have types. So before this was only invoice, but now you can see that they'll sales order. If they had other invoices that were open, you would see them here. But in our case, we're focusing on posting a prepayment and linking it to the sales order. So I'm going to put my $2,500 in here. You're, of course, going to put anything else about the payment, the check number, how they paid. If you wanted to add a little memo, you can absolutely do that. Just things to note, the prepayment cannot be higher than what the sales order is. It has to be lower. Once you save this, you can email this to the customer so that they have record of the prepayment posted. I'm going to go ahead and save and close. And let's head back to our sales order. So now you can see that there is a prepayment applied down here so that you can see our $2,500 is applied to that sales order. Then let's look at some reports. So a new report that they have included so that we can track our prepayments is found under Reports, Customers and Receivables, and it's called Open Prepayments by Customers. Okay, so you can see that it breaks it down and it's got the customer, it's got the type of transaction, and it gives you the information, and then it posts what has been paid against it so that you can see what it is that is still owed on this invoice. Okay, so that's our reporting at the sales order. If you like, I can go and do the same thing at estimate just so that you guys can see, and that report will show both. So we'll choose TT. I'll make it simple and just choose one item. And we're just going to charge them $20,000 for our labor. We're going to save it. And I'm going to do the same process as before. I'm going to receive a payment. It's going to populate to say prepayment. My type is estimate. And I'm just going to put 5,000. And I'm going to save and close. And we come back to our reports. And now you can see that under the customer TT, I have a sales order and a payment, and I have an estimate and a payment. If I go to my balance sheet, you can see that my customer deposits is increasing. So it is live reflecting what we've taken in prepayments. And of course, do not forget, we can reconcile this account so that we can have a better understanding of what it is that is still outstanding in prepayments. Okay, so that's our feature when it comes to the prepayments of sales orders and estimates. The next I want to show you guys is the link between sales orders and purchase orders. So let's go back to our same sales order that we had. And so I've got a couple of inventory items here. And let's go ahead and let's go through the process of creating a purchase order for these items, and then I can show you how they're linked. So from our sales order, we can create a purchase order, and you can see that it gives you the same pop-up that it's always given you to say create purchase orders for all allowed or create purchase orders for selected. So what this is good if I choose selected, for example, is if I needed to order from different vendors, I can create separate purchase orders. So if I needed to create a purchase order for this item and it was a different vendor than Anderson's, I can do that. And then I could come back and create it for the other one. So we'll just go ahead and create one. You're going to see here that it populated automatically to our purchase order screen. It gave us the item, it gave the quantity, and you see it linked it to that customer. So the same process as we did before, where we're saying that this purchase is for this specific customer. Okay, so again, I can use this and send it to the vendor to fulfill this order. Now let's take it back to our sales order. And let me go back to our sales order. And so now what you see is a new column. And this says linked purchase order. So we didn't have this in the past to be able to see, have we ordered these parts to fulfill our order? So now we can see that the purchase order that it's linked, this is a link, so I can click on it and it will take me directly to that purchase order. And they've provided us with, again, another report. So let's come over here and we've got reports. And we've got coming down here to our sales, and we've got sales orders linked to purchase orders. So we can see here that this feature is one that we have to activate. Now I apologize, I'll show you where we go and do that, but you can see that my previous sales orders did not have anything linked to them, but I still have sales orders outstanding, so it's showing those. And then here's the one that we just created. It is showing that the date of the sales order information, what we ordered, and then again, the PO information. So the PO date, the PO number, who we ordered from, the PO quantity, and it will show us what has been received. That way, our sales team could go and look and see that, hey, we did get these parts in, I can go ahead and fulfill this order. Or if this is an inventory function and they fulfill the order, this gives them the report needed to when that order can be fulfilled. Okay, so let me show you, last but not least, is where you activate it. So all of these new features do have to be activated at the preferences to start using them. So this one, if we go to edit, if we go to preferences, and we go to items and inventory, our company preferences, and then right here, it's a new box that says link and track sales order line items with purchase orders. So if you're trying this and you're not seeing that, more than likely it's because you haven't activated it. Okay, so again, two really great features that I don't know about you guys, but they're exciting, and it just makes it so much easier, again, being able to make decisions on the data that's in our file. Okay, so last but not least is our inventory features. So if you guys have heard me before, inventory is one of my favorite topics. So they've done a lot of improvements on the inventory reports, but the most exciting new report that they have done is called the inventory turnover report. So let's go ahead and take a look at it, and then we'll talk about the columns. So this report is found under reports, inventory, and it's called the inventory turnover report by item. Okay, and this pops up. You can always check this little box to say, don't show me this again. I know what it's for. So we'll go ahead and hit continue. So you can see this has got a lot of information on it. So the most exciting is kind of looking at it as our ratios, our sale date, but I kind of want to talk to you about the columns and what they mean. So again, you can see it's date driven. We can hide information. Right now, we've got all of our inventory and assembly parts, but again, we can choose. This is, again, these features that they're introducing, allowing us to filter and use the data in a more meaningful way, just showing us what we need, okay? We've got our sort, so you can see I can choose different sorts. And then this is a new feature on your reports that you can zoom in. So you can see that, and this is on all reports, so you can change how, big you see it. If you're like me, wear glasses, sometimes even making it even bigger would be helpful. So let's just kind of talk about the report itself. So of course, you've got your item. This is your item name when you set it up. This is your description. And then this is categories. So again, another really great feature that they've introduced. I'm going to touch a little bit on, but this is again a way to segment our inventory so that we have it in what we call buckets. So I can have that header sub relationship and using my categories, and then I can search by categories. I can filter reports by categories. Okay, so just kind of looking at the next columns, the inventory turnover ratio. This is a formula that's been calculated. It is using the total cost of goods sold divided by the average inventory value over a period of time. So the average inventory value is the sum of the beginning and ending inventory values and then divided by 2. So for example, if your COGS is $5,000 over a year and the average inventory value is $2,000, then that column, the turnover ratio, would be 5,000 divided by 2,000, and that's going to give you 2.5. What this means is that you're able to sell and replenish inventory for that item 2.5 times a year. So this kind of will help on that inventory management of when do we need to reorder. These will start driving these other things like our reorder points, what we want to keep on hand. Or maybe we need to get rid of the inventory and stop selling it. Okay, the next column is our inventory turnover days. So this is calculated with the formula. It's the number of days in the period divided by the inventory turnover ratio. So for example, the inventory turnover ratio above, using that 2.5, then the inventory turnover days will be 365 days, because that's how many is in a year, divided by that 2.5, and that's going to give us 146 days. So this means that the business takes 146 days to sell that item. Okay, so higher turnover ratio or lower number of turnover days means your inventory is selling quickly, while the opposite means it takes longer to sell your inventory. Okay, so really great report. You can see you've got lots of columns. You can see that last sell date, what our cost per unit, what we have on hand, our min and max, and then it gives you your COGS so that you know that information, our closing and opening stock. So recommend go check this report out. It's super exciting to be able to have this for your inventory management to take it to the next level. Okay, the last thing I'm going to talk to you guys about is that categories, because I think this is a feature that a lot of people aren't taking advantage of. And I want to show you an example of why I would recommend using this feature. So again, we have to go activate it. So edit, preferences, company preferences, and then it's down at the bottom of items and inventory, activate categories. Okay, so in the past, when we were creating items and we wanted to have our buckets, I'm going to use, for example, pool covers. This is a sample file on pool supplies. So you can see, let me choose a different one because I use that one. We'll do pumps. So you can see that we've got pumps as our header, and then we have our sub categories or sub items underneath it. So what this is saying is that under pumps, I have different pumps. The problem is that with our header of pumps being an item setup, people would post to that. They would receive inventories or create purchase orders or invoice your customer. And now you don't have accurate reporting because they're not using one of our actual pump items. Okay, so using the categories feature, I'm going to go up to list. I'm going to come down here to category list. Right now, all of my items are in uncategorized. That's the default. But I'm going to come in and I'm going to create a new item. I know I'm running out of time, you guys. I just want to show you this really fast. So here's my new item. I can come over here and I can put in the pump. And I can say select all. and I want to move them over there. So very easy once you get them set up to get them over there. Okay, so now I've got under pump these items. Now here's the cool thing that I want to show you. When we're creating a transaction, we now have more search abilities. So right here, we have find and select items or filter by categories. So allowing you to not have to look through your full item list to know what you want. We can type in a category if we know it, or you can see here we've got this where we can search by other fields. So this was something in the past that we could only search by the item name, but now they've increased the option that we can search by different pieces of the item setup. So super exciting. Again, great job on increasing the features that we have. I know we're right at time. I'll hop over to see if we have any questions. Oh, we have lots of questions. Okay, I don't know that I can get to all of them because we are right at time, but let me just kind of take a peek at them. So how do we record a deposit received from a customer without having a sales order estimate? So that one you would use your sales receipt. So a sales receipt allows you to post income, cash at the same time. But again, you're not getting the benefit of it being linked to anything, but you can post it this way and still hit that customer deposit account by using an item. And then next question, currently use estimates and sales orders. After the customer accepts estimate, they convert it to the sales order. We would then need to enter payment. Yes. When you convert it to the sales order, post the prepayment at the sales order, not the estimates. Okay, that's all the questions we have. Have a great rest of your week. Bye.